Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another interview with Citizens for Political Engagement. Today, we have a candidate for Regional and Local Councillor, Terrence Au. Welcome, Mr. Au.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to this forum.
Thank you. So, as we go into it, would you like to offer a short introduction of yourself and why you're running for Regional and Local Councillor?
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Terrence Au. I'm the Richmond Hill Regional Councillor candidate. I've been working for Councillor Castro Liu for the past 6 years. I work in the city's front line every day. So I think it's the time to get involved deeper into serving the community with my energy and my experience. That's why I'm going to bring, hopefully I can bring some new ideas, efficiency, integrity, and trust back to the council, as I'm not sure if anyone here knew that there's been some hustles and some negative events happening for the past 4 years inside the council. So that's why I put my name into it and hopefully bring a positive change to Richmond Hill. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that answer. And so I think we'll go into our first policy question, which is on transportation. So obviously an important part of a city is to have efficient transportation. So how will you both on Richmond Hill City Council and on York Regional Council develop and improve Richmond Hill's current transportation system?
Okay, I would say the transportation system consists of a private side and a public side. Okay, let me talk about the public side first. First of all, one of my priorities for running the regional council is to reduce the fare and to increase the frequency of the Viva bus along Yonge Street and Highway 7. First of all, why do I believe that reducing the fare will make sense? First of all, I'm not sure if everybody knows, if you use the Presto card to ride on the Viva or the YLT, it takes $3.88 compared to the TTC $3.25, which is a little bit higher. And at the same time, the frequency is not as enough as I heard from the people's feedback. So with the reduce of the fare and the increase of the frequency, I hope to increase the ridership. And that's number one. Number two, as the city within the city council, I would say with our city keep growing bigger and bigger, more populated day by day, I would say it is not sustainable to keep on building wider roads or keep to accommodate more cars. Simply, we cannot match the growing prospect of the vehicles. So that's why I'm here to promote public transit. And with my knowledge and with my day-to-day communication with the resident, I think that's the two key points that I'm going to advocate to have a better transit system with lower fare, more frequency, then increase the ridership so people can give up using their car a little bit more, and at the same time to reduce their burden of their everyday expenses. I know everybody talking about housing affordability every day, but I think reducing their burden, not just housing, but also on the transit side, can help them to save a little bit more money to do their grocery. As you know, the grocery are getting expensive day by day, and hopefully I can help them in this way. At the same time, I would say I'm trying to advocate a more transit-friendly city, and that's part of it. At the same time, I was trying to promote the use of a hybrid transit system, which is the more hybrid buses, and to have a positive impact to the environment. Number three, I would say to reduce the parking standard, which is the the parking allocate the parking spot allocate to every buildings. Usually we have a standard of a particular unit inside of, say, a condominium. You have certain amount of parking space. But if we can reduce a little bit to promote people to use transit, at the same time to reduce the fare, to increase the frequency, people get to everywhere will be more easier. And at the same time, the subway is coming to Richmond Hill as well. So we can fit them to different mode of transportation, to the subway, to the Viva, to the VLT, or even to the GO Transit. So that way, people can move faster, less congestion, and help them to ease their burden, their financial burden a little bit more.
Thank you. So another issue that a lot of Richmond Hill residents face is housing. So urban development is a large and important part of City Council's responsibility. Right now, the lack of housing is an important problem that is facing Richmond Hill as our population grows. On the other hand, density of housing and adequate services are also a concern of many residents. What is your philosophy or idea on how the City Council should approach this problem and balance between the two issues?
I always believe in a balanced planning, a balanced and a responsible planning policy. What's that mean? Well, sometimes when you go to Highway 7 and probably in between Bayview and Leslie, you will see some high rises on the Markham side of Highway 7. And on the Richmond Hill side, you see some not so high condominiums developing. So I would say, what is my ideology of a balanced and a sustainable planning policy, which means we have to cope with the current growth of population. At the same time, I don't think like we need like sky high, a high rise, the skyscrapers, and 60, 70 stories high skyscrapers. I would say that is totally irresponsible planning in the Richmond Hill for Richmond Hill people. I would say since we have a very good transportation system along Yonge Street and Highway 7, I would say we should have more high rise, but let's put it this way, not the 30 or even 40-story high rises. I would say when you look up to the sky, you see how much story highs of each building, and I would say 20 is my maximum, I would say. So I'm trying to see more condominium to have a little bit higher density along Yonge Street and along Highway 7, so that they can not just to live there, they can also live within a transit system. So they can connect to the transit system to connect to whatever they want to go, easier than driving a car. So go back to my point. I would say the city has some very progressive planning policy for the past few years. So I would say, in order to balance, I don't think anything higher than 25 or 30 stories high is suitable for Richmond Hill. I would say even 20. But I know there is certain plan that is in place, certain key development area or key development policy already in place for locations such as Yonge and Highway 7, Yonge and 16, or even all the way up to Yonge and Elgin Mills or along Highway 7. So I'm trying to balance everything to a point that you don't obstruct the daily life of the existing resident. But at the same time, we have to open up more space, a little bit more dense, to open up the space for the people to move in, to ease the housing affordability problem that we are facing, not just in Richmond Hill, which is across Ontario or probably in major cities across the country. So I would say that is the balanced approach. We open up space, but not like progressively open up to like 60, 70 or 80 stories high building. That I would say that's out of bound, but I would say follow up with our current policy, and at the same time to have more space, more units for the people that can afford, let them afford to purchase. And one more point I would like to add is, since many of the younger people or many of the people or the young people that just came out from school and entering the workforces, I would say I would like to see some kind of private and public partnership in the rental market, and just to help them to at least get a place to settle down first, and or maybe hopefully let them save more money to have them get enough money to go to their down payment and get on to be a house owner, to make them less burden in that sense. So that's my two key points in the housing affordability.
Thank you for the answer. And I think a bit on the specifics of your idea on housing. Do you think mainly high density housing should be built along like major transportation routes like Yonge Street, or do you think there might be places for that in other parts of the city?
Okay, I would say high rises is debatable. Let's put it this way. Someone say high rises is no more than 10 stories. Somebody say high rises means somewhere around 50 or 60 stories high. But I would say because there is already a KDA or key development area policy in place. So there's been set for certain area, such as the transit route, such as Yonge Street and Highway 7. Since they have more adequate transit services provide to the resident and to absorb the population around the transit route. But I would like to say is other than the transit route, I think that's the perfect spot for the high rises. But as I said, high rises is something like no more than 20 stories high, because more than 20, I would say, is skyscrapers in my sense, but everybody has their own ideas of a high rise. But for me, I would say 20 or 25 is the max for Richmond Hill. So back to your point, I would say, yes, I would recommend more the building of high rises in along Yonge Street and Highway 7. But outside of that, I would say just leave them as it is, and because you don't want to see more traffic going into other spots around the major routes. And I would like to see a more transit-friendly, transit-oriented communities around Richmond Hill, so that we can reduce the usage of vehicles and more transit usage, and at the same time, easier for the people to move around and less congestion.
All right, thank you for that answer. And I think this leads into our next question, which is about finances. So as a municipality, the financial health of the city is a very important part of its operation. So what would you do as a councillor to ensure that Richmond Hill is on good financial grounds, while at the same time providing the same or improved services?
I would say being a responsible financial bookkeeper in the council, keeping I would say 0% tax increase is no longer feasible for the city of Richmond Hill after all the inflations for the past few months. And at the same time, I would say one thing is city of Richmond Hill was doing very good in controlling their financial budgets and expenses. But actually, I just want to say that many people don't know that half of the property tax goes to York Region. City of Richmond Hill only combines about 1/4, and the school board takes the remaining 25%. So Richmond Hill, I would say, adequate, but not like crazy increases of property tax, which help the city to grow. At the same time, when we have more people join our city to reside in our city, and I would say the tax base will be much broader. So we are able to collect. I mean to have less burden on the tax increases. But at the same time, I know the York Region budget is much more high and much more like bigger in scale compared to the city of Richmond Hill. At the same time, 30% of York Region budget goes to the police, 30% goes to the transit and others such as the social welfare, public health, etc. So I would say I would focus more on the more healthy growth, balanced growth in both city of Richmond Hill and the municipality of York's budget. As a matter of fact, I would try to see if we can increase more opportunity to collect business income. I would say to increase more business investment so that we can collect more tax in property tax in the business side or the manufacturer side. So that helps the resident here to reduce their burden, because most of the time people focus on most of the municipalities across Ontario. So always focus on the residential property tax, but actually the business and the industrial tax also play a part in the budget. So I would say increase the promotion of business, more people coming to Richmond Hill to live here, so we can make it broader, the tax base, or the more people to share the burden at the same time. So that way, I would say we can achieve a much more healthier and much more responsible budget in our next 4 or to probably 8, 12 years along the road.
Yes, thank you. And as a follow-up to that, do you think there are any specific methods that you would use to attract business to Richmond Hill?
There is always like from my past 6 years of being a councillor assistant, most of the complaints from the business owners or the investors are the red tape from the city's planning or building departments or other like form of red tape or bureaucratic procedure that hinder their development. Well, obviously, all the business owners, they see opportunity in Richmond Hill. They see opportunities in York Region. That's why they invest more into here. So they want to make money as well. So I would say I'm trying to let them have an easier or cut the red tape. Let's put it this way: I cut the red tape and the bureaucratic process from the city, from the region, so that they can like speed up the investment process, or speed up the opening of their business, and then hopefully they can make money earlier. They can open their business earlier, so then they can attract more business at the same time earlier. So this way, I would say that's my #1 priorities for the business world. And secondly, I would go out to press for more business by coming into Richmond Hill. I would say Richmond Hill doing a very good job in promoting business or other form of business. Speaking of business, I don't say just like a factory, not a warehouse, not like a shop, but also tourism business or conventional business or other type of invisible business that I would like to see more. This way, we can collect more business coming to Richmond Hill. People know more about Richmond Hill, and hopefully they have a good image about Richmond Hill. At the same time, people knows that this Richmond Hill is good for business, is open for business, then probably that will be more attractive for them, so that they can come into Richmond Hill. We can collect taxes, and hopefully we can make it better for everyone to live or to work or to do business here.
Thank you. And our next question has to do with public parks and green spaces. So public parks and green spaces are an important part of Richmond Hill. How will you work to protect and improve the environment of our city?
Okay, as I said before, I would like to promote more environmental friendly transportation mode. One of my key belief is to use more environmental friendly transit system, which is I'm promoting the hybrid bus or even electric bus, more electric vehicles around. Speaking of green spaces, I would emphasize one thing is, as the density increasing in part of the city, unfortunately we have to sacrifice a little bit of the green space. At the same time, I would like to see more high-rise green space to promote the use of like a balcony park, or have more facility confined in particular space, so that more people can enjoy. At the same time, more it can have more like a higher capacity to serve different people. At the same time, I would say the community parks is very important element for Richmond Hill, and I would like to see more community parks along with community center, which is a one-stop station for every recreational or entertainment or everything within one space, so that people can enjoy. At the same time, I would say to continue with our very good tree policy, as well as the keeping existing. Well, I know part of Richmond Hill belongs to the Oak Ridges Moraine, when it is still the gem of the city. So I would believe that, well, actually we cannot touch those land as yet. I would not suggest to touch them as a part of the to protect the very fragile environment. But in a city setting, I would like to see more one-stop recreation, community, and park and green space within like a larger scale share for everybody to utilize, so that even though we have limited space, but everybody can still enjoy the green space within a city setting.
All right, thank you for the answer. And our next question is on York Region. So obviously an important job of being regional and local councillor is representing Richmond Hill at York Region Council, as well as being on City Council. So how would you navigate the relationship between Richmond Hill and York Region and ensure that Richmond Hill is adequately represented at York Region Council?
Okay, I would, there's only 3 representatives from Richmond Hill, the mayor and 2 regional and local councillors. Compared to Vaughan or compared to Markham, they have 5 and 5. Well, I think, yes, we are the number 3 municipality within York Region, and we only have 3 seats in the York Region Council. But I would say, number one thing I would like to see, well, and I'm going to do, is to cooperate with other York Region colleagues to make sure our Richmond Hill share is fair. I know there is only certain amount of money and so many projects lining up all the way from Georgina, Stouffville, King, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham. Everybody wants the share of it, but with the cooperation of other colleagues in the York Region Council, and with a united, I just want to stress that a united Richmond Hill representative, which means the three of us has to work cooperatively together and have to have a consent on certain things that we can represent a stronger voice for Richmond Hill people in the York Region Council. So there's certainly many different projects. The transit project is one, the stormwater project, and other public services, public health, social welfare, or even public housing. I would say that with a stronger, united Richmond Hill Council, the three of us, mayor and the two regional councillors, can work together to represent a stronger voice in the York Regional Council, so that people, so that we can ask for fair share in Newmarket, and I mean the York Region Council.
Thank you for your answer. And our next question has to deal with community safety. So an important part of a livable community is community safety. How will you as a councillor maintain and improve community safety in Richmond Hill?
Okay, community safety comes with different aspects. I would say traffic safety is number one. Well, unfortunately, there's so many fatal accidents around us past week, and of course the crime rate. As the assistant for Councillor Liu for the past 6 years, I think one of the thing he championed that is the neighborhood watch program across the Ward 3. Neighborhood watch is resident and the police join forces together to have a better communication in between each parties of the playground, so that in case they have anything happening, no matter it's potential crime or anything, speeding or other criminal events happening, the resident was alerted at the same time as the group of people was alerted, as well as the police is alerted. So I would say I would try to promote it to more neighborhoods around Richmond Hill. This is very, very useful. According to my personal experience for the past 6 years, I would say one thing, unfortunately, police resources are limited. That's the fact. Then how are we going to utilize the police resources wisely, which is, I would say, not just by the police themselves, we as a resident, citizen, can help them to fight crimes together. And because police cannot be in front of your house 24 hours, 7 days a week. So when we have a better cooperation between police and the resident, I would say it will be more, hopefully can achieve a lower crime rate and to have a more crime being solved by helping each other. That's number one. Number two, safety. I would say the traffic safety is another big issue. Enforcement and education is always important, but at the same time, I would say increase enforcement, that's number one, that's obvious. But that, as I said, the police resources are limited. So at the same time, I would say to implement some of the traffic kind of like traffic, what they call the traffic pattern control system, which is very useful in Markham. I've been asking for with the Markham colleagues about what they're doing to reduce to increase the traffic safety. Other than reducing the speed limit, At the same time, I would say increase more, have more of the, I forgot the term, but they have something like a pole, a traffic pole setting up in the middle of the road, especially in the neighborhood, the smaller neighborhood, quiet the side, the neighborhood roadways that helps to reduce the speeding habit of the people. At the same time, I would say to increase the vigilance of the resident. I was thinking about, well, still in my mind, but I just want to share that I would like to mobilize more citizens to go out with me to the main road, just to hold up a sign saying slow down, to make sure the drivers are aware that the local residents are very concerned about the speeding habit. At the same time, I would invite the police to come as well to have more enforcement. And yeah, hopefully there's no there's not really like a good method or bad method to tackle the traffic, the speeding problem in Richmond Hill. But I would say with the cooperation of the resident and the police, and with more emphasis on education and enforcement, I would say I'm trying my best to reduce the rate, the speeding or the fatal rate, or at the same time to reduce the crime rate in different parts of the city. Hope that works.
Thank you. So as our last question here today, if you were to be elected as regional and local councillor, what would be the first issue that you would try to address?
Okay, has to be the first thing, right?
Yeah, like what
Okay.
your priority would be on city council or local city council.
Okay, I would start from the easier one. As part of my work for the last 6 years as a councillor assistant, I always receive people complaints about missing property tax or water bill payment. It is because they didn't receive the bill from the mail. So number one thing I would say, the first thing I would say to get it done is to implement more online and more in-person services to our residents, including other than mailing you the property property tax bill or the water bill. At the same time, I would like to see they can see it online as well, because we have so many services implemented online, but the most important one or the most broadly used one, which is the property tax and the water bill, I don't think they are not online as yet. We still rely on the mailing by piece of letter. So it is possible that the mail can go missing or sent to the wrong place, and if you forgot to pay the bill, you will be end up with a hefty interest payment and penalties. So I would like to see it to implement the property tax online and water bill online. At the same time, I see that many people from Oak Ridges, they complain about lack of city service within the northern part of Richmond Hill. Many of the people still use the old school style by paying their property tax or other payment directly in front of in a counter, in an in-person counter. So I would like to see, other than our usual Access Richmond Hill location in 225 East Beaver Creek, which is the southern tip of Richmond Hill. Also, people can go to the Operations Center on Elgin Mills. I would like to see one more Access station, Access Richmond Hill station, for in-person service in Oak Ridges area, perfectly inside Oak Ridges Library. And because it's a city property and have parking and the city property, so people can access there easier, so they can pay bills or do city services. They don't have to drive all the way down to Highway 7 or Elgin Mills. They can do that right away there. So that's the thing. to increase the online and in-person service will be my number one thing to do when I was fortunately elected in the elections.
All right, thank you very much. And that concludes our interview. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you.